Okay, we are live on another episode of the Edlow podcast, and I have some very special guests. Before I say that, I've been told by other podcasters that I'm supposed to say subscribe all the time, and so subscribe wherever you're listening to this. We appreciate that. But this is exciting. I have known these two guys. I've known them probably it's probably been what 15 years. When were you in DMW? How long ago was that?
Oh man, yeah, 15 years
Yeah,
at least.
because we've been wrestling like almost 22 now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
15.
So I'll tell the story how I first met you guys. I don't even know if I ever told you this story. I told it on when I had Derevko on. So I was gonna start SWF. I just bought my ring and I was looking, I was kind of disconnected from talent and I knew Alexis Derevko. So I texted him and I said, "Hey man, where should I go to just kind of see who I would want to put on my shows?" And he said, "Come to Martinez." And I show up at a DMW show, Devil Mountain Wrestling. And I walk in with a friend of mine who'd never been to an indie show. He was a WWE fan. And we kind of walked in, and I think you could appreciate this. We were not super impressed with the what it looked like, right?
Of
Like,
course, yeah, it's at a Boys and Girls Club.
yeah, yeah. It just the ring was all set up with duct tape and all that stuff. And I was like, all right, well, anyway. And then there were a couple of matches that happened. And then right before intermission, there was a four-way tag match. It was the Eight Ball Posse, who I was very familiar with. And then it was Derevko and Sheik, who I knew Derevko, I didn't know Sheik yet. And then it was the Trailer Park Superstars, and then the Suburban Commandos. And 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 I'm not trying to like, talk you up or anything like that or anything like that, but there was a marked difference between you guys and your charisma, the Suburban Commandos, and everybody else that I had seen so far. And it was the first time in the show where I was like, those are guys, those guys could put butts in seats. And so I think I booked you on every show I did from then
I
on.
think so. Yeah,
Yeah. And so, but that was of course before you had morphed into what you are now, the Stoner Brothers. So
That is us.
yeah, so I'm proud to have you guys on. You were on the list when I started this podcast of people I wanted to have on. So I'm glad we were able to connect and get you guys on. So tell me, where does it start? Where does the love of wrestling start for Dustin and Derek Mehl?
I mean, I just want to start off by saying, uh, I'm sorry your first impression of us was that barn burner of a four-way tag match. Oh my gosh.
No, you know what? That match, I got to tell you, because it ended up. I mean, the A Ball Posse and the Trailer Park Superstars, they went out quick. Uh, I love Hustler and Big Money. Big Money was my first ever wrestling match, and Hustler was my second. That was back in 2000. But they were just a little past their prime at that point. And
yeah,
and then Otis and Maynard, they were fun, but it was when they got out, and then it was the four of you left, and particularly when you guys and Sheik would get in there, I mean that's when the magic really I mean you guys put on a killer show, and so it was a lot of fun, you know.
Yeah, Sheik is like none other. There's the cruiserweights and there's heavyweights and then there's Dark Sheik
Yeah,
who uh, who I don't know has just got their own style.
yeah, yeah. Well, where does it start for you? I mean, where did you have you always been wrestling fans? Do you remember the first time you watched it or what?
Our dad used to watch WCW back in the day, so me and Derek grew up on like Surfer Sting and Rick Rude and Vader and the Steiners and Ron Simmons and Lex Luger.
Horseman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think our very first live wrestling match we went to, we seen Rick Rude and Sting in a cage match.
Wow.
Uh,
Where was
Yeah,
that?
I think that was at the Cow Palace.
yeah.
Wow. I don't ever remember WCW coming here until after Hogan signed.
Yeah,
So
it was early. I'm
I
pretty
would
sure it was
say like
Cowpell.
'94 maybe.
No, man, probably earlier than that, dude.
Really?
Yeah, Sting Rick Rude was like 91, 92.
Okay.
yeah, man, that's crazy. That's a really early. I wish I would have known about that show because I would always, when I was a kid, I used to watch that stuff all the time, but they just never made their way to the West Coast. They were always in North Carolina and Florida places. So that would have been a really cool one to see.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I
So,
don't remember anything else on the card. I remember Johnny B. Bad blasting off his fucking gimmick.
Gimmick stick,
Yeah.
dipstick,
Flying Brian was on
full
the
of
card.
confetti.
There was Alex Wright, I think, maybe. Early Alex Wright.
But yeah, and we're like brothers, twin brothers. So we wrestled each other all the time and got in trouble for it. And
oh yeah.
I don't know. Can't ground us now, Dad, because we're getting paid for it.
So when you was there who would you say your influences are as far as tag team wrestling goes?
I mean, obviously the Steiner brothers, but then like Ming, Barbarian are really awesome, and then like
Harlem Heat was awesome.
Harlem Heat, really good. Some of the Horsemen. I like Arn and Tully a lot.
Scotty liked the State Patrol. This is State Patrol. Yeah, they were good. But the American males,
just the fact that like just tag team wrestling in general, like you can use your partner and do stuff together, and like that's I don't know, from just seeing that in general is just like for us was like an automatic and we got to do this.
Mm-hmm.
So did you always, when you were a kid, when you guys were kids, did you always want to be pro wrestlers? Was that just always the plan?
You know what? Before I wanted to be a pro wrestler, I wanted to be an American gladiator.
Nice.
And then before that, I don't know. I think a veterinarian.
Yeah.
And then look at me now.
I tried out for guts one time.
Scotty did try out for guts one time. It didn't go so well.
No, it didn't. I got stuck in that the
cargo net.
The elastic band jungle.
It took him like 8 minutes to get out of there. He only had a 2-minute timer.
Yep.
Nice. So so tell me, like, where did you guys grow up?
We were born in
Portland, Oregon.
But
then we lived in Beaverton. And then we moved to
San Ramon when we were like 5.
Yeah.
And then pretty much Bay Area, San Ramon for a while.
Castro Valley.
Antioch,
Pittsburgh.
Brentwood, Pittsburgh area.
And now
we're in Oakland.
Yeah. Tell me about your family makeup. Do you have any other siblings?
Yeah. We got a little brother. He's he's in college right now, out in Oregon.
He's 20.
Oh wow!
And then we have a couple step brother, stepsister, and then I think that's it, right?
That's it.
Yeah.
What do you mean you think? You don't know?
I don't know.
So, do you have? Tell me about like your family makeup. Are these stepbrothers from your dad's side, your mom's side?
Our dad remarried and has stepkids, and then his first marriage is where our little brother comes from, and then second is what I meant. Yep. We were the first.
Yeah, we were first.
We were the first. Yeah. So
mainly my dad's side has all the siblings.
Yep.
Okay. And do you? I mean, as far as relationships go, do you have a good relationship with your dad still? Your mom? Are you guys kind of in contact? Did they support the wrestling? What do you think?
Yeah, we talked to them both. Our dad supports the wrestling a little more than our mom, but I mean, I don't know. We're grown adults now, so we kind of just support whatever we do as long as we get along in life.
Right. How old were you guys when you trained at Brawl, right?
Yeah.
And that was with Joe, right? Joe, Coach Joey Nuggs now, but formerly Joe Applebaumer.
Yep.
Yeah. When I was 18, right when I turned 18, I signed up for APW, and then I ended up moving to LA with my uncle. It was very sporadic, just by myself, not with Derek. That was like our first time apart from each other, and then I had to tell Roland like I couldn't train, and then I still got charged the $6,000, and then
Classic Roland move there.
Yeah. And then I came back and we met Nugs, and we started training. He started training us. I met him like 2 years before that. I wasn't 18 yet, and he would have had like some kid's ring in his backyard, and he's like, "Oh, I'll train you now." And then I think my dad made me wait till I was 18 or something. Pretty sure, but which was good because then Derek wouldn't have been in the picture yet, so it worked out.
And why is that? Like, Derek, did you come along later? Were you not kind of wanting to do that, or what was the deal there?
No, I was just I don't know. We were on different paths at the time. Like he graduated and then moved to LA, and like I don't know, I can't remember, living with a buddy or something in Brentwood or Antioch or something like that, and like I don't know.
And we both ended up just like, I moved back to the area and then kind of like fell in to this house.
Oh, the house, yeah. The house.
That there was a bunch of us living in, and then we all.
This is where we first met Rick Luxury.
Yeah.
And then
and
we lived in a house with him, and Riz was always there. And then who else?
Kenny, not Kenny K, but different guy named Kenny.
Yeah.
A bunch of guys that don't wrestle anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, we all just lived in this house, and then we got this huge group of guys together to train to wrestle. It was like probably like 15 of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we were fucking bumping on a futon mattress in the fucking living room.
Yeah.
We were like, Rick was like training these fools, and then we met Joe, and then bought a ring, and then started training for reals.
You guys bought the ring, or Joe bought the ring?
Me and Rick bought the ring.
Wow.
Which is the same ring we have in our training right here.
Yep, it's a Hoodslam ring.
Yeah.
Man, there was kind of wasn't there some heat over that ring when you guys kind of took it for Hoodslam? Or I seem to remember hearing something about that.
So when we moved, or when we,
I paid for like 50% of the ring, and then Rick paid for a quarter, and then Nugs paid for a quarter, and then there was drama or whatever. But then me and Derek moved to Florida, and Rick had the ring for like 4 or 5 years, and we didn't say anything. And then we're like, "Hey, think we could possibly get that and buy you out?"
And we literally had to buy the whole ring again.
Yeah, he made us pretty much buy the whole ring again. And then when he gave it to us, they had like cut the Brawl logo out of it, so the canvas was fucked, and fucked the ropes up, and so we had to do a bunch of shit on it, but it was some petty shit.
Did it all eventually work out? Like, did you guys talk it out, or was it still just after that kind of over?
I mean,
you guys, I remember when we were running shows, you guys were all still really close. I mean, it seemed like at least you two and Rick were really close.
Yeah, not so much anymore. We're just acquaintances now, I feel. Just because, I don't know, that's how we felt. We always, I feel like, I don't know, I'm just going to shoot and say, like, I feel like when we were training, we put up with Rick because he was at a higher level than us, I guess.
Yeah, and he kind of got us into it,
yeah,
to be honest.
Yeah, and then, you know, after a while, he was, like, trying to take advantage of us and be an asshole for no reason, and then we just stopped putting up with his shit, and he didn't like it, so we
went our separate ways. And,
yeah,
that's life. That's how it works sometimes, you know. Yep. So going back to your training, what was it like training with Joe? I gotta imagine it was pretty stiff.
Yeah, man. It was like, especially like, man, it's just difference in training from like training kids today to like what we went through. It was crazy because like Nugs was not in the right mindset in those days, and like just was an asshole, and like he would he would like fucking make us cry and go home. He'd be like, "Go home and suck on your mama's nipple, you fucking pussy," shit like that.
He would mentally break us down.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, for one, you can't really do that with people these days because
no, you can't at all.
Yeah. And me and Derek are too nice to like want to even try to do that to people. So
now, do you, looking back on that, I mean, I don't know, like I had a bunch of, when I was playing basketball in high school, I had a couple of coaches that were just really hard on I'm kind of grateful for that, to be able to put that up. Are you grateful for it, or do you kind of look back and go, man, that was
no, I'm definitely grateful.
Definitely, I feel like that made us what we are today.
Yeah, like you go through shit like that, and then you realize later in life, when you're in the position that they were in, that all the shit that was shitty to you, you don't have to do. Like then make it your own way. And like I think that's why we have so many students, and not why we, I don't know, put out good talent. And I don't know, we don't rush nothing. We take our time with everybody.
Mm-hmm. And like now, Coach Nugs is like the nicest guy in the fucking world because he's not a mad person anymore. So it's
full circle.
Like we can't even. We'll try to bring him over here to like bring some old school, and I don't know. I'm like, Jared, we need Nugs to be mean to our students sometimes. And he's over here and he's like a big teddy bear, like, oh, you did good even if it's shitty. Or
Man, I remember the first time I met Joe, and that was at one of the first SPW shows in 2000. And the story I tell when I talk about it was, I was a local backyarder. And backyard wrestling, I mean, you probably did it yourselves at times. In like 98, 99, it got on like real TV and all that. And so everybody was doing backyard wrestling and everybody was wanting to watch it. And so we were drawing, like 200 people in a backyard once a month. And I had gotten all the TV stations and stuff like that. And so SPW, I wasn't fully trained. I'd only trained with Oliver John for like 2 months, but I was 6'7", and I had a following. So Rich Roby, who was running SPW before Big Ugly took over, he just called me and had me help him out to start it out. So I'm there, and the news is there because it was like this story of backyarder becomes a pro. They were kind of doing that gimmick to put me on the news, and it was going to bring some notoriety to the first SPW show. And Joe walks in and sees it. And Joe puts on this gimmick and walks up right in the middle of my interview and just shoots a promo on me, like how I'm a backyarder and he's going to smash my face when he comes. You know what I mean? Like all this. And I was like, I don't even know who this guy is, and I'm not even supposed to wrestle this guy. You know what I mean? And he's just like, and he just looks at the camera and goes, "Get that effing camera out of my face," and just like walks away. And I was like, and so, but the thing that was so funny about him was that after the match, he was the only one who came up to me after the match and said, "Okay, here are some things you could do better. Here's some things that, and he was like, you need to go get trained. You do have he was very nice. He was very like, he wasn't cuddly, but I mean, he was very, very nice and said, you have an opportunity to, do this, but you got to do it right. And he was like, go to the Monster Factory, go to the Wild Samoans and go get trained. Because this place back in 2000, the West was a death trap. There was nobody out, no one was.
It was APW or BTW, and that was it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. SPW was just starting, and APW was like, those are backyarders, and they were right. You know what I mean? So yeah, but Joe was really, I always, even from the very beginning, even though he was pretty, he was pretty kind of, he was mean looking and mean. He was always nice to me. I always had respect for him. You know what I mean? Just he was always good to me. And then it sounds like he was good to you too, even though he was kind of mean to you.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, of course. He just, like you said, like he was an asshole, but like at the end of the night, he's trying to spit knowledge too. So.
Yeah, exactly. How long did you train before you had your first match?
I was like 6 months, 7 months maybe. I think was my first match. But I wrestled Nugs in a one-on-one match. So, and then I didn't have another one for another 6 months after that because I don't think it went well.
And then mine was I probably around the same, maybe a little longer, maybe like 8 months.
Yeah.
But then I wrestled Jay. Yeah. As a clown. Yeah. Was Carrot the Clown.
When did you guys become a tag team?
We were the Bad Apples.
Basically,
so
when
I
we
wrestled,
were doing our singles stuff, we were also the Bad Apples.
Yeah. So, yeah, when he was Carrot and I was just DD Bad Apple, right?
The D Unit, yeah.
Well, me and Rick.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So I don't think you
were a tag team. You were a tag team with Rick Luxury first.
Yep. Well, me and Rick, and then
Sean.
And then another kid named Sean. And then Derek eventually came in and became a Bad Apple. And then me and Jay went off and did our own thing for a while as the Commandos for a long while, I guess I should say.
Yeah, I was stuck in a loop. I was Carrot the Clown, and then I was Trent Hemorrhage, and then nothing worked out. So nothing worked out unless I was with him. So that's kind of my niche.
It's dumb we just didn't do it from the beginning, but
yeah. But also I don't know, knowledge, different ways, working singles to working tag teams. It's always good to know.
Yeah. Did you so it's interesting because I would think since you're twins that that from the very beginning they would just be like, oh, well, obviously you're a tag team, but it doesn't sound like that was really what you guys were thinking. I
started training with Joe 5 months ahead of Derek. So there was that. So when I was ready, he wasn't ready. So I had to do something. And then when he was ready, I was doing something. So we came up with something else for him. So we didn't actually meet up until about a year and a half, 2 years into actually wrestling.
And then when you came together, did it just make sense at that point? You're just like, well, obviously this is what we need to do, or was it kind of a work in progress?
Yeah, I mean, it was me, Derek, and Riz as the Commandos for the longest time. And then, eventually I feel like, Riz seeing that me and Derek were we're twins and we meshed well. And me and Jay were really good. But Jay is wanted to do his own thing because he sees that, we're brothers. There's a lot more tag team bookings out there than trios bookings. So he started doing the Ravishing Riz gimmick, and me and Derek were just the Commandos for forever until we became the Stoner Brothers.
Yeah.
Now I never met Riz. Tell me about, because I know that he was a big part of your lives. Obviously a good friend. You named your finish after him. Tell me where he comes in your guys' story.
The house, man. When we were at that house, he was Rick's buddy, and the first time we met him, we were sleeping in the morning, and we had this thing called the house title, right? So whoever had the house title, anybody can try to beat them at any time, which is a pin or submission or anything. Mm-hmm. And he gets to the house, I guess, and then asks Rick who's the champion. And he's like, oh, one of the twins upstairs that he's never met. And our first meeting is he's trying to choke Dustin out in his sleep.
I shucked him off me like a pancake because he was so skinny back then.
Right.
Nice. And then did you guys just become fast friends at that point and just did all?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we trained together every day, and then we became a tag team, so we traveled together everywhere. And so yeah, that was my brother from another mother besides Derek. So
nice. And tell me, before we go farther into your wrestling, I want to ask, what's it like being twins? And here's why I mean that. I mean, I have a brother, but he's 5 years younger than me. We weren't really in the same you know, we were never really in the same stage of life, and we didn't get along as we were growing up. As twins, did you just always get along, or were there
Not
times?
at all.
Oh,
Not at all.
Mm-mm.
We hung out with different people in high school, and like,
Even elementary school, like when I wanted to be an American Gladiator and was doing shit with my friends in elementary school, this guy was hanging out with different people, and we would fight each other at elementary school and get in trouble for that shit. And then like in high school, like we just hung out in different crowds. He was like with the
I was a pothead in high school and like hung out with bad
stoners,
guys.
and I was like, "Ooh, stoners, get out of here, losers!"
Not until you're like what, junior, senior year, and then you started smoking,
Yeah,
and then we were cool.
and then I could be cool with my brother.
yeah. So that's another part of your guys' story. Well, before we go into that, but being a twin, what would you say if someone asked what it was like? I mean, what would you tell them being a twin? I mean, what's that mean to you?
It means you always have someone there. I want to say, just because I don't know. There's rare times in my life I remember just being alone. I'm usually, now that I'm a grown up, sure, like I love to be alone, but like when we were kids or, when we were going through stuff with our parents or when our parents got divorced, like there was never a moment we were like not with each other. So everything kind of just like,
We always had each other's
yeah,
backs.
and all the emotional stuff kind of just like rolled off our shoulders because we had each other, and I was like, okay, whatever, we got each other. Like school and being cool is more important than whatever the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
Or just yeah, it was very nice to have somebody. Just because I have so many friends that are just like only children, and I that's one thing I can't imagine is just growing up and being alone and having my own room, and I don't know, just
Yeah.
as a kid.
Yeah. What about you, Derek? I mean, how does that affect you? Is it all the same stuff, or?
I mean, yeah, pretty much. Just I don't know, like always having someone that has my back, and like being able to like I don't know, grow up and do cool things together, and always having someone to throw a pitch to, or catch a ball with, or ride bikes together, or whatever. Just
Yeah, there's a lot of two-player things in life. There's not a lot of like one-player things. So I feel sorry for the people that have to play solitaire when me and Derek are over here playing catch with each other.
yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. Now you mentioned when your parents were getting divorced. How old were you when that happened?
I would say like 5 or 6, maybe.
Oh, okay. And I mean, was it pretty? I mean, was it a rough divorce, or was it amicable? I mean, was there a lot of emotion around
I
it?
mean, there was shit talk back and forth, and like
And I feel like we're also young. We're like, I don't know. It didn't affect us too much.
nah, it wasn't bad.
Yeah, if anything, like our parents made it bigger than it needed to be. It could have just been like a thing, but they decided that to talk mess about each other to us. We're
Hmm.
like little kids. Like, that's a fucked up situation to put your kids in.
Yeah, no, I hear you for sure. That's tough. I know a lot of people who've gotten divorced, and one of the parents kind of weaponizes the kids against the other, and it's not fair. It's not fair to anybody.
Yeah.
So now, so you guys grow up. You're pretty. It sounds like even though you guys fought a lot, generally you guys you had each other's backs. Always knew it. Where does marijuana use come into your story? I mean, you're the Stoner Brothers, right? I mean, your whole gimmick now is centered around marijuana. And I know as long as I've known you, you guys have been avid users, both for recreation and for medicinal uses. So where does that come into your life, and how does it get introduced?
I mean, I started in high school. The group I was with, like, we found weed and like started smoking, and
Back then, we were like light potheads, like once a day, twice a day, maybe.
maybe if
I don't
that,
know.
or maybe like every other day, or
Yeah.
you know, when you can get it or whatnot. But
like it really started when we started training. Nugs probably. Between Nugs and Riz, I feel like that's why I'm the pothead I am today. Because first time I met Jay, like after he tried to choke me out, he just rolled up a blunt. We smoked it. And then this fool just kept rolling blunts and blunts and blunts and blunts. And then, you know, taught me how to roll a blunt. And then, I don't know, Derek was already
there, man. I was already
bigger smoker than me.
So, in high school, oh, by the way, when you're in high school, did you play sports? Were you on any clubs? Like, what did you guys do when you were in?
I played baseball.
We both played baseball growing up a lot on teams and stuff. Most of the time we were on separate teams though.
Yeah. Yeah, they never put us on the same team, which was weird.
Yeah, it seems like it's easier for your parents getting you there if you were both on the same team.
Right?
Yeah.
It was cool though. We were both pitchers, so like when we, you know, would face each other, it was cool because I got to like strike him out and he would strike me out, or we would get hits off each other. I don't remember. But...
And then in high school I played, and then it wasn't fun because like I don't know, it's just, turned
too much politics,
too competitive in politics, and
when sports have too much politics and like, you know, managers are trying to get the best kids on their team, it's not fun anymore, you know.
Yeah, or like, you know, not giving people chances because like, you know, this person's it just whatever. It just wasn't fun anymore. So we stopped, or I stopped, and then we tried out for the wrestling team, and then we kind of decided we didn't want to do it after they told us. They pretty much told us like you can't like go around throwing people like that, because we came into the tryouts and we just started like German suplexing people, and like, you can't do that. That's against the rules. And I'm like, what? It's wrestling. Like, yeah, it's not that kind of wrestling. And then we were kind of turned off to it. So
like, well, that's stupid.
So we did backyard wrestling for like 16, 17. Years, yeah. Nah, probably 2 years,
2 or 3, at least
2 or 3. Yeah.
Are any of the guys who joined, you know, the ranks of independent pro wrestling in NorCal, were they a part of your backyard group, or were you the only ones who did it?
I think we were the only ones that came out of it.
Yeah.
That's the same with mine. I started mine, and well, it's a funny story actually. The ones that I was doing, I was the only guy who came out of it. But I told this story with when I did Flacco's podcast. So when SPW was starting, I didn't own a ring. We were trying to find one. I ended up hooking up with these guys in Stockton, and that's how I met Jesus Cruz. And like, if you remember Wicked, he used to work for SPW for a while.
Wicked sounds familiar.
Yeah. I mean, he was only there till like maybe the early 2000s, and then he bounced out. The only one that I can remember from that group that stuck around was Jesus. But that was funny. I told this story too. I told this when I was speaking with Riv, when I did an interview with Riv. So the day that we decided what we were going to do to get the ring up to SPW, we were going to buy, I was going to rent a U-Haul. I'd pay for it, and we would bring their ring up to my backyard and do a backyard show on Friday night to promote the SPW show on Saturday night. And so we had a huge following there. And I let all the guys from Stockton, including Jesus, Big Ugly was there, although he would never admit it, and a few other guys were all there, and we all put on this big backyard show. Well, I got a U-Haul that was too small for the ring, right? So like we had all the beams were sticking out the back. Yeah. So I'm like, what are we gonna do? And so Jesus and Wicked, Jesus is like, hey man, we'll sit in the back. That's fine. Right. And I was like, are you sure? He's like, oh yeah, no problem. So we set him in the back. I drive back to Sacramento, and when I open up the back, Jesus had lit. I mean, he must have been smoking pot the entire way.
That sounds about right.
It just comes out like a whiff, and he walks out, eyes bloodshot like crazy. He's like, hey man, let's set up this ring. You know, and like we just got had a killer show. And I was like, I love this guy. You know, Jesus was hilarious. And so
we love Jesus, man.
Yeah. I wish he was still working, man. Now that I'm actually wrestling and fully trained, I wish I could work him, because, you know, it would have been kind of cool full circle to be both backyarders, and then now in our, you know, in our 40s wrestle. You know what I mean? It's cool. So anyway, back to you guys though. So what was it about? And you're talking to a guy, obviously, you know my background. I'm religious and stuff. I don't smoke pot. I had one experience with a pot brownie on accident. So tell me, like, what is it about marijuana use that is so appealing to you guys that you use it so much?
I mean, for one, when we first started wrestling, we were getting our ass whooped and like bruised, battered, and fuck, man. And I don't like pills, and pills. I don't know. In wrestling, I feel like are a big thing, or were a big thing. Hopefully not as much anymore, but like I don't know. And so I was like, pot is the thing that is our
it's a release.
It's gonna be our medicine.
Yeah, it's a good release. It makes it heals your body a little bit, and like I don't know, makes you not think about the pain so much either.
Yeah, and like it'll knock your ass out so you can get a good night rest. So like instead of drinking and doing pills and where you could fucking possibly die, you can't die off a pot. You could eat a huge weed brownie and probably be high as shit and think you might die, but if you fall asleep, you'll be okay,
Might wake up in 2 days, but you'll be all right.
So yeah, like we're big advocates on that. Like don't do pills and fucking drink, because I don't know.
So you guys not drink?
We do. I don't drink much. Scotty drinks more than I do, but like not much, not too much.
Yeah, you're not party drinkers. You just if someone says have a beer with me, you will, but you're not like going and getting drunk all the time. You're is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. I'd rather go to a party and like smoke 4 blunts and have 1 beer rather than like, have 5 whiskey cokes and smoke 1 blunt.
And Derek's like, yeah, I agree. Yeah. I'll tell you, I've never shared this story publicly, but I'll share it now. So I've told a few people this, but I think I was a junior in high school, and someone was just passing out a brownie, and they knew I was Mormon, and I didn't do it, and so they thought it'd be funny, and they're like, here, eat this, and I ate it, and I was like, this tastes like crap, and I swallowed it, and they're like, aha, it's a pot brownie, and I'm like, oh man, that's not good, and so probably two periods later, I get called to the office because and the principal's like, so how you feeling? I'm like, I'm fine, and they're like, you don't look fine, and I'm like, I'm totally fine, and they're like, okay, well, and so anyway, luckily the kid who gave it to me told them like it was that I didn't know, right? So I didn't get in any trouble, but they sent me home, and it was so funny because my mom was like, do you feel anything? And I was like, nope. And then I ate 3 bowls of Cinnamon Toast Crunch and slept all the rest of the day. I was like, I don't know what's in the Cinnamon Toast Crunch, but it's the best I've ever had. And that was the best sleep I ever had. And so that was my one experience with partaking. So yeah, I mean, what's that?
Got to give it up to cereal.
Yeah. I don't know. Cinnamon Toast Crunch, man. That's my jam. So if there's somebody listening here who, there's a lot of people out there who are very conservative about this, and what would you tell someone who thinks that marijuana use is bad for you, or would cause problems for people? What would be your response to that person?
I mean, there's so much of a variety these days, man. Like, cancer patients and glaucoma, and like, you don't have to smoke it. You can eat a CBD gummy, which has no THC in it at all. It's just completely like a body high, which is good for your body. And then like
anxiety now, like it's a huge thing for anxiety, or like
sleep deprivation, everything, man. Like there's certain like strands that are just for that stuff, and like between the CBD and the THC stuff, like you don't even have to smoke it. You can drink it, you can eat it, you can even
and on top of this is all like doing it responsibly. You know, like if you don't have a job or money, like you probably should not be spending whatever you have on pot and smoking it. You should be getting your shit together. But if you got your shit together and you have a long day at work, or you fucking wrestle a 25-minute match and you're a little bit sore, fucking smoke some pot, or
Yeah,
eat a fucking edible, or have a fucking CBD drink. There's tons of stuff that you can get now. It's not like the 70s where like it's all, you have to burn it, man, or like it's just in brownies. Like there's a lot of options.
Okay. And so tell me the transition. So you transition away, going back to wrestling now.
Mm-hmm.
You go back to you're doing the Bad Apples. When does the Suburban Commandos kind of become your gimmick? Because you did that for a long, long time.
Me and Riz and Ryan, Dub. His name was Dub C at the time, but
Chance Calloway,
Calloway,
better known as Pong.
Okay.
Big Ugly had us. He wanted somebody to do this trios gimmick of white guys that thought they were black and kind of like the Malibu's Most Wanted. And he's like, I want, the Suburban Commandos. So he came up with the gimmick, and he's just like, I think you guys would be good for that. Let's try it out. And then we did it, and it caught on, and shit, man. It was me, Ryan, and Riz for like the first year, and then I think Ryan broke off and stopped wrestling so much, and then it was just me and Jay going everywhere together, and then finally Derek joined us. Then it was the trios again, and so yeah, it's that started at SPW. That was all Big Ugly.
Nice. And so was that so? You when you started, you're trained at Brawl. I know Brawl ran some shows, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then were you kind of like SPW mainstays, or were you working elsewhere? Where did kind of the Suburban Commandos kind of
We weren't. I mean SPW for the most part, but like we did
shitty shows in like Orangeville for Rob Wilds and stuff like that.
Yeah, we were working in LA for Epic War for a guy named Gary Yap, who is an interesting character. And then most people that put on shows got to be interesting characters, or and or I should say most people that put on shows that aren't that good are interesting characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steve Justice,
Rob Wilds.
Rob Wilds was an interesting guy. That guy, that was interesting. That was what was it called? UWA? Is that what he was doing?
Yeah, and he had that Michael Porter guy was wrestle shoot and stuff like that. And
Porter was he was a nice guy.
He was. Yeah, we were on his podcast, or his I guess it was a podcast before they were podcasts,
right?
Yeah, he did a small radio show in Marysville for a really long time, and good guy, but unfortunately Rob Wilds, man, that guy, he was nice to me at times, and then he spit on me one time because I passed out a flyer in the parking lot of his wrestling show, and so he spit on me and then caused this whole fight and all that. It was he had one of those. He always had the juggalos around, the what was that guy's name? Rude Boy, I think so. It was the guy he'd always bring in, and anyway, yeah. So that was interesting. But SPW is what you were, kind of mainstay. But when I met you, you kind of had some heat with SPW. It seemed like is there a story there where that kind of came about?
Yeah, so we were doing the Commandos, and then
they wanted to turn us heel.
Yeah,
and we did this like run in and jumped a bunch of their students, which their students at the time, it was Johnny and
Johnny Plinko
and Steve Stamp and Scoot maybe.
I think maybe somebody else.
Yeah. And then like we did our run in and like
spray painted them, and
painted.
We were just catching hella heat with the crowd talking shit, and then Riz was talking shit to some lady, And then after the show, that lady got all heated about it, and Riz was still like, you know, in the moment, and was like talking shit back to her. And I guess that lady was
Part of the owner of the venue or
related
whatever.
to the owner of the venue. And so they're like, "Oh, we got to suspend you for a couple shows," and then they just never brought us back.
Was
And
this
then-
was this where they were in the Colonial, or is this after that?
Is it that St. Peter's Hall?
Oh yeah, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, man. And then they just never brought you back. Was that when Samurai was running it, or was that when Ugly was running it?
No, it was
It
Samurai.
was Samurai, yeah. And then that's when we started to do those Suburban Commando shoot promos, which I don't know if you ever saw any of those.
I think I remember one where it was you talking a lot about hot dogs.
Yeah, there was we were shooting on Samurai a lot, and then I don't know, we shot on a lot of people in those, because we were like, fuck it, man. Like our main place that we were getting work at the time was SPW, and they don't want to use us anymore. So like, and then Brawl, we were doing our own shows, so we're like, fuck it, we don't really care what people think. Let's just tell it like it is. And then we did those, and then we caught heat for them, but I feel like also they
were entertaining.
Yeah, they were entertaining.
And
Well, that's
people agreed with us, and people didn't agree with us, but whatever.
Well, I want to talk to you about that because that's one thing that I've noticed with you guys just over the years, whether I was promoting a show or whether I wasn't, and just follow you guys on your social media. It's so entertaining, but you guys kind of get yourselves in a lot of trouble doing that stuff. There's a lot of times where you kind of catch some heat because of the stuff you say just off the cuff. Can you think of a time was that the one that was the biggest where you guys shooting on Samurai, or was there another one where because I remember a lot over the years where you've kind of like hit on something or whatever and it kind of caught,
I mean, us shooting on Samurai wasn't a big deal to us, because like I don't know, still to this day we don't give a shit with Samurai, I think. So sure, we'll say hi to him in the locker room and
we're cordial,
be cordial and stuff. We don't hate the guy, but tis what it is.
Yeah, I don't know, man. We just like being straight up. Like I don't care if I'm gonna catch heat for something that I believe in. Like plus, I'm gonna say it no matter what.
Yeah, and especially now, we're so like seasoned in the business, got our own school, work, pretty much pick and choose which shows we want to do. And so, yeah, anything we say now is like just us seeing something and being like, what the fuck? Because I don't know, no one else wants to say anything about it. So
we like to be the speaker-uppers.
Yeah. I tell Derek all the time, I wish I could just delete my social media. Like, if I ever stop wrestling, I'm probably going to delete all my social media.
That's so true. There's so many things. Social media is like the greatest promotional tool, but also just such a pain because of all the drama it brings. Even just things, I find myself, it's so silly. Like I even find myself at 42 years old being like, this post didn't get a lot of likes. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, why aren't people liking this post? This is comedy gold. It's just like, it's just things like that that's just so crazy. And I actually just had a fight with not a fight, but just had a deal with my son where we were talking about this, where, he doesn't like me taking pictures of him. And, I'm proud of my kids. I mean, if you follow my social media, my kids are all over it because they're like the light of my life. And I'm so proud of them. They're all just so great. And so, but yeah, occasionally I catch him sleeping funny or something like that. And I'll take a picture and I'll like put it on social media. And I guess a lot of his little friends will follow my Instagram, and so they'll razz him a little bit about the stupid photo I took of him, and he gets a little mad about it. And I just go, man, like this thing is so stupid. What I mean?
Yeah.
Because I don't know about you guys, but for me, social media is it's almost like an online journal for me. Like I love hitting the memories and looking back over the last years that day, and just being like, oh, look at my kids. They were so little and they were so fun. They still loved me, and they didn't talk back yet. You know what I mean? Like that type of thing. Or going back and seeing like, oh man, this SWF show I did was so cool. I mean, so I mean, I don't know if you guys do the same thing or anything like that.
No, I agree. It's cool to look back at all the stuff. Like you said, it's like a journal, but it also at the same time it shouldn't be like a personal journal,
Right.
which a lot of people, that's what it is.
Yeah,
It's
people
like,
blast their business too much. I'm like, I'll take a picture and that'll be my status or whatever. Fucking, I'm not gonna like sit there and write like a novel about my bad day at work.
Right. I've occasionally put something out there, and the reason I do it is just because I'm like, maybe there's somebody out there that needs to hear this, like they're going through a bad day, like something motivational kind of. But I agree, like I have a couple of people who will like post things like, oh, let me talk about my narcissistic ex. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh boy.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm like, let's go back 30 years when we have to like write letters to each other and call each other on the telephone. And
nobody is gonna write that many letters, man.
No, man.
Like you got so much to say. There was no way you'd write all that down and send it to somebody.
Yeah, my kid.
You cannot fit that in pager code. Sorry.
I remember I just told my kids, my daughter was flat, like this. He was like, so you're telling me that the only phone you had was connected to the wall? And I was like, yeah, you couldn't go anywhere. You know what I mean? You had to sit in the kitchen and everyone heard your conversation.
Yep.
And then she was like, well, what happened if like you weren't home and someone called you? You're like, you didn't talk to him.
Exactly.
You see him at school the next day and they'd be like, hey, I tried to call you yesterday. I was like, oh yeah, I was at the mall. I was busy. It's just, that's the way it was. Maybe simpler times. Maybe it was better back then.
Right.
Yeah. Bring back the pigeons.
Yeah.
Well, I have to ask you, because you're I think you're a little bit young. How old are you guys?
We're 40.
We just turned 40.
Okay. So you're my age. Tell me, was it not the coolest time when you were younger? I mean, in twins, it had to be awesome too, where like, remember back in the day when the coolest weekend was going to Blockbuster, renting a movie and a video game, getting some pizza, and just like chilling all weekend doing that,
Oh, yeah.
Like, we would rent the shittiest NES games and then get so mad at each other over it. Because for one, the games are so hard.
Yeah.
And then we're trying to like play and share with each other and getting frustrated, and we would just pelt each other with those controllers, bro.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, like kids don't do that shit anymore, man. They just sit on the fucking social media or computer and watch fucking TV all day.
They play games.
Yeah, but they don't go out and do anything as much as we used to do,
They don't.
Like, hey, get out of the house, go have fun, kids. Go do something.
No, they don't. You don't understand though. I have kids. They don't play games anymore. They watch YouTubers play games.
Yes. I've noticed that. Like a bunch of our friends' kids and stuff like that. That's all they do. Watching TikToks and watching people play video games and stuff.
My youngest son, he's 9 years old. He'll turn 10 in June. I get up in the morning at about 5 a.m. and I go to the gym. He makes me wake him up so that he can go downstairs and watch YouTubers play Apex Legends or some game for 2 hours before school. Because he wants to be a gamer. That's like his thing. He wants to be a professional gamer. So he just watches people play those games like all day. It's mind blowing. I don't know. It's different. But yeah, I remember just being as a kid, just thinking like renting video games and playing them all weekend, turning them back on Monday was like the coolest weekend ever. Did you guys have a favorite game back then? Was there one in particular that you liked?
Probably just like Mortal Kombat 2.
2 was probably,
and then Street Fighter also.
WrestleMania, the arcade game, was one we rented a lot.
Techno Bowl.
I loved WrestleFest. Do you remember the WrestleFest?
WrestleFest was really good too. Yeah.
Royal Rumble. I'd play with Earthquake and just smash those guys all day.
We would go to the Golfland arcade in Castro Valley, and fucking just play that game and Mortal Kombat 2 for
Killer Instinct a
like
lot.
3
too.
hours, 4 hours. They had Primal Rage over there too, I
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah. Mortal Kombat 2, I think, was my all-time favorite game. Where you
Yeah,
could
it
be
was.
hang and turn into the dragon and bite people's.
Yep.
Yeah, that was the one.
Yeah, man, that was a great one.
Yeah,
And then
because 2 was the first one with fatalities, right?
Well, the first
Or the
one
first
had
one, yeah, they
fatalities,
just were
but it
shitty
just blew
fatalities.
the first one out of
Yeah.
the water.
yeah, yeah. Did you get into the Killer Instinct and all those games? By then, it was too much for me with all the combos.
I loved Killer Instinct.
Yeah, we liked Killer Instinct.
Yeah, yeah, man. I don't know. I don't. That was it. Got a little bit above my pay grade on those ones. I don't know. And then I always liked the sports games like NBA.
Yeah, we played Griffey baseball a lot,
Yeah,
or
that was-
RBI baseballs and stuff
Oh,
like
yeah.
that.
That's a Griffey one, right? The Ken Griffey one.
Yeah,
Griffey one's probably the best baseball game ever, probably.
besides like the new 2K shit.
I
where it's,
mean,
like,
yeah.
super real.
I guess. I feel like it's still not as fun as Griffey.
Yeah,
Yeah, those old arcade games were so much fun. I remember my kid, or when I was in high school, I'd have friends over and we would play like WCW, NWO Revenge on the 64 and get so mad at each other. Like guys wouldn't give the other guys rides home because they were so pissed, over that game. You'd be like the NWO, and then you'd convince some other guy to like, to not tag in, and join your clique and all that.
Those are still to this day the best wrestling games ever made, by far.
Oh, I agree. I think that WCW, NWO Revenge, and like all those THQ ones, right? Like WrestleMania.
Yeah, like WrestleMania 2000, No Mercy.
Yeah.
Yeah, all those are great, dude. What you could fucking edit the guys for the intro, so you could have your own, created wrestlers like doing the intro of the whole video game. It's pretty sick, dude.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. So so tell me what was it that transitioned you guys away from being the Suburban Commandos and going into the Stoner Brothers? Were you tired of the old gimmick, or did it come organically? What was it?
Well, it was when Hoodslam started. We were like, Sam just wanted us to be, ourselves, but like turned up, and we we're both potheads, and like we love the Steiner Brothers, so we were like, okay, let's be the Stoner Brothers.
I don't think it was. It was the Blunt Brothers first. And it was supposed to be like, I don't know, Philly and Titan or something like that. And that's just two names of a type of blunt. And then I don't know who came up with it. Someone was just like, how about the Stoner Brothers? And we're like, yeah, Rick Scott Rick. And then we got there. We made it.
Yeah, but then I don't know, we were just so comfortable doing the Stoner Brothers that like we just transitioned, especially like I don't know, weed's very highly accessible these days, and like it's very mainstream now, so like it just felt like a good time.
Yeah, for a while we're like, oh, Commandos is our like family friendly gimmick, and then we'll do the Stoner Brothers whenever else we can, and then we were just like, fuck that, we're just gonna do the Stoner Brothers everywhere. If they book us as the Stoner Brothers, they can't complain when we do Stoner Brothers stuff.
Right.
Yeah,
we're not gonna smoke in your venue without permission, but like we're gonna cut a promo about pot, or like make pot gestures. Sure, we might not like look at a little kid and be like, hey kid, you want to hit this joint? Because guess what, you're not old enough, idiot.
Yeah.
Right. So do you find that now that you're doing the Stoner Brothers, do you think that is affecting your ability to get bookings? Or are you I got to imagine you've been doing this for 22 years. So the idea of just going out there and wrestling everywhere is not necessarily as appealing as it once was. Are you guys good with just, hey, you know what? Like we'll just do the Stoner Brothers where they want to book us. And if you don't want to book us, that's fine. Is that kind of your thing now?
Yeah, like we said earlier, man, like we're at the point where we like pick and choose what we want to do, and like we don't go out of the house without like a certain incentive. So like, plus like if it's not a fun match for us, we're just not gonna do it. Like I don't want to wrestle people that I don't like or people that are not gonna try or be good. I don't know. Just, we don't want to wrestle shit dicks. We don't want to wrestle in little tiny places for fucking peanuts. So like,
And also, I think like the reason we're doing this because we love it and we love to give back to the new guys, and then also, we like being fucking stars ourselves, and also showing off that we're a good team. So, uh, if we're not having fun or those other things,
what's
then
the point?
what's the point? That's why, like, I feel like we figured that out when we had our tryout, and we decided that we just want to train people and have fun with wrestling.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So you had a WWE tryout, and that was set up by Brian Kendrick, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so Brian Kendrick just kind of discovered you guys through Hoodslam and various things. I mean, I think he's still on the West Coast, isn't he?
Yeah, we just worked his show WrestleMania weekend.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, he has a company called Wrestling Pro Wrestling. Does a bunch of goofy gimmicks. It's crazy,
Oh
but
yeah.
he's fun, man. Cool guy. Love Brian.
Yeah, he was fun. I met him when we did Impact Wrestling on a loop from San Francisco to Sacramento.
Yeah, I remember those.
Yeah, yeah, you guys got hooked up in that whole thing in San Francisco. That was not my fault, by the way. That was not me. So
You're good.
out there, I've never really spoke publicly about it, but that whole come and drop your promo pack thing off, that was a Biggs thing. That was not a me thing. So
Nah, it sounds like a big thing.
yeah, yeah, Biggs. That was, but I'll tell you what. I mean, Luster and Choopy, they got legit. They got legit looks over at the gut check thing, and I think that's what ended up Luster getting his first. He ended up flying out to Orlando and working James Storm off of that gut check. So, it worked out for a couple guys, I suppose. But they were doing more than just coming to San Francisco and moving those mats.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but anyhow, but yeah, Brian Kendrick was he was super cool and was kind of one of the most accessible stars at Impact. You know what I mean? Like some of the other guys just kind of went around and did their thing, but he was always really cool to everybody. So anyway, you get hooked up with that from Brian Kendrick, and tell me kind of what happened.
So we flew out there, and it was like a 3-day thing, and I don't know. To be honest, I feel like if it was us in our careers 7 to 10 years before that, because this was like what? It's not more than 10 years ago, right?
No.
I know.
It was probably between 10 ago.
Yeah, if we were younger in our career and not where we were at, then it'd probably been a different story. But like, in our heads, we were more comfortable out here. So, anyways, we did the first day, and it was all just cardio blow up shit.
And then also there was like, I don't know, like a Gargano and Ciampa and a couple other guys were having their tryout also, but like they didn't have to do everything that we had to do. So they got a little special treatment, which was kind of stupid and shitty. But then I don't know. Then Regal after the first day just did this speech telling like you're gonna be our bitches. You're not gonna have a life. Blah blah blah. And like I don't know, that just really hit us. And like we were happy and comfortable where we are with our dojo and training kids and like getting people to where they need to be and like that we're like before we wrestled or why we wrestled we were also teacher aides for special needs and stuff, so like we're always teaching and we love teaching. And I don't know, we were just comfortable and happy with what we were doing, and like we said fuck it, we're not going back, fuck it. And so we didn't come back the next 2 days, and then we just left.
Man. So tell me, do you think, I mean, was some of it also? I mean, the first day it sounds like it was all just blowing you up, wanting to make you try to puke, right?
Yeah.
And then were you just like, I'm not going to go through 2 more days of this if this isn't even what I want? Or was it just like, we decided we didn't want it, so what's the point of continuing?
That and also like, are they gonna even like give us a chance to show them why we're here? Like, we're here because we're twin brothers and we're a tag team, and I thought they had seen some of our stuff, so they had to know we're pretty good. But I don't know. I guess that's all just like the weeding out process. They want to see if like you're willing to do whatever they
Get
want.
treated like a piece of shit.
Yeah, I guess you get treated like a piece of shit.
Well, and when you say that, like, what was it that they were doing that made you feel like you were being treated like a piece of shit? Like, was it just the cardio stuff, or was it like, were they being rude to you and not giving you the time of day? Like, were they? It sounds like they were showing some favoritism to kind of like indie stars, right? Like,
Yeah, and they were being shitty to people that were like going slower or just blowing up in general. I mean,
This was at the time where it was like, who was it? It was
Bill DeMont.
Bill DeMont was there.
Albert.
And like Albert, who else? Norman Smiley and Robbie Brookside, Billy Gunn.
Like, I don't think anybody personally rubbed us the wrong way, but just like the way they were talking to people, and then the Regal's speech about how like pretty much like you're not gonna have a life, you're gonna get paid shit for a while, you're gonna eat shit for a while, and like we kind of knew that going into it also, but then I don't know, that just made us second guess, and then when we woke up the next morning, we just had like a big heart to heart with each other, and we're like,
we're good. We don't need to do this.
Yeah, let's just enjoy our 2 days here and then dip.
Nice. Okay. So going back, also something I wanted to address with you. Well, we'll go back and talk about that. I want to stay on this WWE topic for a minute. So when you left, what was the fallout from that?
A lot of shit talking online from people, not knowing the story, and then I don't know. I'm sure Brian wasn't super happy with us either at the time, but I mean, we told him later on when we seen him like our story of it, and he understood. So like that was cool. But like I don't know.
People that like never supported us beforehand had a lot to say after the fact. Like our mom's brother, our uncle, who we just don't talk to anymore because after that happened, he never supported us in wrestling beforehand and said it was a waste of time, and then like went online and publicly like just tried to fucking bury us, like just saying some mean ass shit just on social media on wrestling shit. Like he doesn't even.
Is your uncle like a wrestling fan, or does he like indie shows?
Not at all.
No,
not at all.
No, he's like a financial advisor of some sort or something.
He's like a Jerry Maguire guy, sports agent or some shit.
Whatever. He's not even a sports agent. He just has money. He makes money. So I don't know. He felt like he had something to say, and it was ridiculous because I don't know. From someone to like barely talk to you and then go online and publicly shame you and supposed to be your family, like it's crazy.
And what exactly was he saying? Just that you guys
just that we're lazy pieces of shit. We're never gonna amount to anything. You could just fucking get high and smoke at your fucking Hoodslam shows with fucking 40 people there. And it's like you don't know shit for one, and for two, like
Hoodslam shows, and there's not 40 people there.
Yeah.
Right. So the fallout from that, then, I mean, did you get any heat from WWE, or did you ever get any contact from anybody that was there and it's like, hey, why'd you guys leave, or anything like that?
I mean, yeah, they called us that morning and we told them why we're not coming back. And then
we called them.
Yeah.
And we just told them that we changed our mind. This isn't something we wanted to do.
And then I guess
Sorry.
Yeah, the aftermath is like people getting mad at us because we took spots from people. It's like we didn't take any spots; they were our spots. So
Right.
like, how did we take spots from anybody? So I don't know, just people getting jealous and then like trying to shit on us because we didn't go through with the 3-day tryout.
Mm-hmm. Looking back on that now, do you? I mean, it's been some time now. You've probably reflected. Do you wish you would have finished the tryout?
No. Looking back now, I would have done the same thing.
Uh-huh. Do you think that was the right decision still? Like that you didn't want that? You didn't want to be in the WWE?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like if we weren't like in our early 30s, if we were like in our early 20s and not early 30s, sure, it'd have been different because then for one we would have been green enough to like
Let them reteach us.
Yeah,
teach us.
reteach and fucking just kiss asses because we want to, because we're green and we don't know no better. I guess. But yeah, we were just, I don't know. And like Derek said, we were just in a comfortable.
We loved what we were
place in
doing
life.
back here, so
Yeah, we like teaching.
Yeah.
So yeah, going on to that. So you mentioned that you were, I don't know if you still are, but for a time you were teacher's aides at a special ed school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long did you do that for?
I started when I was at 17, and then we did it for like
6 to 8 years, maybe.
I did it for like 13 years, but then I just last year I just got back into it, and I'm working at school again.
Oh, nice.
So,
Same.
yeah, it was like 13 years.
Nice. And as far as that goes, what is it about teaching at a special ed school that you guys like?
Just giving a positive look on life to like the new breed that's
and just
going to be here and we're gone,
and walking away knowing you did something good.
Yeah.
Every day, as opposed to just walk. If I was sitting there making fucking sandwiches for 8 hours straight, like what could I walk away and tell myself? Well, at least I made some money.
Right.
Now I could be like, at least I made some money and made a difference a little bit.
Yeah.
So I am always curious about people's motivation. And there's a lot of people out there. I mean, I'm an attorney, right? And I run into a lot of people who are motivated by money, who are motivated by competition and things of that nature. What do you think it is that motivates you to do the things that you do?
It makes me happy. I guess. I don't. Why are we motivated to do what we do?
I don't know. It makes like you said earlier, same thing. We're just like we're giving people the chance to live their dreams, and we get to be a part of that, and that makes me happy.
What is it about the process of teaching that you enjoy so much?
Just passing knowledge, really,
and seeing the evolution of people. You know, like
someone who shows up that
when Shotzi first came to us, she didn't know anything about anything. She just liked wrestling, but she was very outgoing and
hardworking and determined.
Yeah, and not a lot of fear. So she came to pretty quick. So it was cool to see. It's just cool to see someone go from zero to a wrestler.
Right. How long did it take Shotzi to figure it out? Because I mean, I remember seeing her at a Hoodslam show and being like, "Geez, she knows what she's doing." I mean, how long did it take her to get there?
Training a good year before she worked at Hoodslam.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, we were also doing dojo shows, so maybe like 7 months, and then she started doing dojo shows, and then about a year, close, maybe a little past that for her first Hood Slam. But I mean, she was slowly brought up in Hood Slam. Like she was our valet for a while, and then she, had a couple small spots here and there as our valet, and then slowly did some matches, and then turned into
also, working
herself.
Just like we tell our students, there's no point to working someone that's worse than you because you're not getting any better off that.
Yeah.
Like Shotzi being able to work like Chupacabra and Mike Hayashi and Mike Crane and Sheik and all these dudes that are fucking awesome at what they do is like just makes her better every time she gets to wrestle. So like anytime you get to work someone better than yourself, it's like always just take that knowledge and bring it to your next one,
And some people just like get it quicker and are naturals about things, and I feel like both her and Mansoor like got it, and were naturals with most things. Shotzi was a little like what's a good word? Like crooked on a couple things. I guess crooked's the right word, yeah.
Yeah.
But like they both just got it and like have it in their blood. So that's why they're where they're at right now,
I'll tell you, I thought it was so cool to watch when I think it was they were in Saudi Arabia, it was Crown Jewel or whatever, and he won the
biggest battle royal.
He won the battle royal, right? And then in the middle of his promo, he gives that little Hood Slam sign. I saw him do that, and I was like, oh man, like that. You guys had to be real proud, when that happened.
Yeah, that was awesome, man. It's awesome to see. Just see anybody that succeed, So like, if it's
kind of like you have kids, like you teach them like a lot of their stuff they're learning, and so like to see them gradually get better and better at what they've been working on and stuff like that. It makes you proud. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean. One of the conversations my son and I just recently had, and you may even feel this a little bit because I'm sure you don't see Shotzi and Mansoor very often anymore because they're out touring, right, with WWE. But like I told my son recently, just yesterday, I was like, it's crazy how fast the time goes, and he's turning 17 here soon, and I was like, you got like another year and a half, and then it's college, and he's going to serve a mission for our church and all that stuff. And I was like, I got you for a year and a half, and then you're gone, And he just, it makes you want, what's that term I saw from The Office, I think, was when Ed Helms played Andy says, I wish I knew I was in the good old days before I left them. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I feel about my kids, is that they're growing up so quickly. And, I blink and they're my kids are ages 16 to 10. And it's like, I feel like they were all just babies. You know what I mean? And it's kind of the same way when you're training them, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you sit there and you're like, I'm 40 years old and all my kids are out of the house and grown. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
But now you guys have Stoner U. That's your training place.
Yeah.
And I heard a rumor, and I want to confirm. Is it true that you were training Lita for her comeback?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is she local to the Bay Area then? Is that?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, she's in Frisco.
Okay. And so how did that come about?
Her and Sam are friends, and she's also a fan of Hoodslam. And then that just, like, I need a place to,
knock the rust
off. And Sam was like, go to the Cuzzies in Anton. So she came here.
Yeah, she was awesome, like super humble, and like just wanted us to like show her new moves and stuff like that, and then just refresh her on, the norm. She was great.
Nice. And how long did you guys train with her?
I came here like 5 times.
Yeah, like 5 times.
Okay. And just you said Anton, does he help train with you guys? Is that
Yeah, Anton's one of our head trainers too. It's us 3.
Oh, nice. And you said you have 18 students.
Yeah.
Man, so if somebody wants to train with Stoner U, what does it take? What do you got to do?
You gotta know how to roll a joint.
No, you don't. That is not true.
We'll teach you that over here. No, you just you can hit us up on Facebook. You can hit the Stoner Brothers up. You could hit Anton up. You could go to the Stoner U Facebook page and email that. You could we got Gmail, home of higher learning at Gmail. That's the Stoner U email. That's pretty much it, right? I think there's a Stoner U Instagram also.
Yeah.
Might just be Stoner U, I think is what it is.
Or the real Stoner U or something like that.
Yeah.
So what would you say if you were going to sell yourself? Why would someone go to Stoner U than say some of the other places around that you could train at?
First thing to look at is who their head trainers are, and then what have they done, and I don't know if you like their wrestling, or I don't know, just do homework before you go somewhere. Like don't just be like, oh, I want to go to this school. I don't even know who the trainer is. Like figure that shit out. Watch the trainer. If they're entertaining with their shit, like,
and then watch what comes out of that school, or or if it's a new school, then yeah, you're pretty much just sure, give everybody a chance, but like we tell all our students, like go get training as many places as you can. Like if we're not training one day and another school has like an open door policy or something, then fucking go over there and get something else under the learning tree. But
yeah, the more the better.
But and a lot of schools are like, don't this is the only place you can go, or I don't know. It's not so much like that anymore. I feel like a lot of schools are more open now, which is good.
Yeah.
It's great. It's not so kayfabe-y.
But like, why come to us? We have 20 plus years of wrestling knowledge, tag team specialists. Anton Voorhees is very good at like arsenal of kicks and knowing how to do flippy stuff, and like we have a little bit of everything here. So like that's why we get a lot of students, and like,
and we're friends with a lot of good wrestlers that we could have come over here and do sessions with. And they're all willing to take a day and probably do that. So not that they wouldn't do it anywhere else, but yeah.
Well, I think the thing that you guys have that a lot of places don't is you've had people make it. You know what I mean? Like you trained people and they made it. There's not a lot of places out there that can say that. And when I say made it, I mean like made it to the WWE, made it to AEW, made it overseas. I mean,
yeah,
there's a lot of places out there that have done that. You've got 2 people that are in WWE right now.
Yeah.
And so do you have any guys out there right now or girls right now that you think are up and comers that are real promising?
Yeah, I feel like we don't really have any stinkers right now. I feel like a lot of our guys and girls are promising.
I feel like when we're very real with our students. So like if someone comes and like they can't even do a forward roll, but then like eventually some of them, like we see the heart in them, and that doesn't really matter. Then they'll eventually get it, but like some of it just is a longer journey. But yeah, like if someone's not getting it, we're like immediately like, I don't think this is for you.
We'll give them like a month or 2.
Yeah.
And yeah, if they're not getting it right away, we'll just tell them right away. Because
we're not trying to hurt any feelings, but I'm like being honest. Like if I think they don't get it, and they're not going to get it. Like, I'm going to tell them, don't waste your money here anymore.
Yeah.
And if you really want to do this, go somewhere else and wrestle.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds harsh, I guess, but it's
No,
also
I think it sounds real, right? I
Yeah.
mean, because there's a lot of places out there would let someone keep coming and taking their money.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And you want to turn out good wrestlers. And if you've got 18 students and one that's taken up all the time, you know what I mean? There's 17 students that aren't getting to progress because there's one who's not getting it.
Exactly.
So now I want to talk with you a little bit about Hoodslam and your role in Hoodslam. So tell me how that all came about for you guys.
We all lived at the Victory Warehouse together with Sam and the Hoodslam band, and then like when we weren't even on the first show, right?
No.
We were.
That was the only show we've ever missed. Well, I think we missed one other one for our tryout. But anyways, yeah. We got laid off from our school job for the summer. So we're like, oh man, what are we gonna do? And then the opportunity came to come stay at the warehouse. So we did that, and then that turned into like a permanent thing. And then we got the ring and started training together. And then, I mean, Hoodslam was already going on before that.
Yeah.
But I feel like it just all, I don't know. We all mixed together well, so it turned into like a fun environment for us, which turned into a fun environment for the fans.
Yeah.
And
So
that's kind of how it started.
So when you started with Hoodslam, what were your guys' gimmicks? It didn't start out with the Stoner Brothers, right?
Yeah, we did.
We were, yeah.
Oh, from the very beginning?
Yep. Yeah, we
Nice.
were the Stoner Brothers. We wrestled the Pro Wrestling Gorillas. One of them was, I think, Mike Rain, and one of them was CJ Dante.
Oh, nice. And then from there, I mean, did it start out as a Steiner Brothers kind of parody back then, or did
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, it was way more Steinery back then, or at least like we were trying to be way Steinery as opposed to being us, just a little bit Steinery.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
Have you ever heard anything about if the Steiners are aware that you guys do this, or if they've ever said anything about you guys?
No,
I don't know. We don't know what Scotty thinks.
we don't care what Ricky thinks.
Yeah, we're not. We can't care what Ricky thinks anymore.
Oh, why do you say that?
Oh, he got canceled.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he said some shady shit to some trans people.
Oh, was that just over WrestleMania weekend? That was like
Yeah.
recent.
That was at WrestleCon WrestleCon, I think.
Oh wow, man. Yeah, so that's a big no-no. So what?
Yeah. And I was like, do I gotta change my name now? You're like, I don't know. No, I'm good.
Man. So, but yeah, you're not. So you haven't heard anything from them about. Do you ever hope to like talk to them about it, or what do you think? Or is it Scott Steiner?
I think it'd be cool. Like, when we first started, it was like, yeah, we want to wrestle them. And like we were tagging them on Twitter, and I don't know, never heard anything back. I'm sure they know of us. Somebody had to have shown them.
Sure. So now you do this. You work at Hoodslam. Do you have shoot jobs now? Do you still work? You said you're starting at the teacher's aid place again.
Yeah, I work at a school again.
Okay.
And that's about it.
Yeah.
That and train.
Yeah. We just, for like the longest time, we've been just living off training people.
Yeah.
Which is fucking awesome. That's what we want. That's our life.
Right. How long do you think you're going to be doing this? Do you want to do this forever, or what is
mean, until the body goes out, which
Right.
it's coming.
It would be tight to do forever, yeah. I mean, but also like our style of training is we like getting in there and doing everything with them, like leading by example, and also like uh just doing everything right so they see it first from us before they do it. And I feel like a lot of trainers are just barking orders from the outside,
Right.
or some will get in there, but like
We like to be
we do
very,
everything.
Yeah, we're very hands-on.
I do every bump these guys do, and I don't know, because I like to work out too, so I try to
Right.
get it in.
Keep your wind up and stuff. Right. There's a different kind of wind to being a wrestler, and I didn't learn that. I mean, I was going to the gym 6 days a week, doing all sorts of cardio, and then I remember running the ropes the first time and just being like, "Geez, this is just a different animal." When I trained with Johnny Jeter, over at Manticore, and he had us doing all these blow up drills, and I just thought I was going to die. You know what I mean? Like 10 rope 10 rope runs, drop down leapfrog 5 times. You know what I mean? Like 2 forward rolls, 2 backward rolls, quarter rolls.
There's nothing like ring cardio.
We'll get some really fit motherfuckers in here that at least they think they're fit, or they I just got back from the gym, did this and this, and they'll come in here and fucking
get blown up in 2 minutes.
We'll do a cardio drill and they'll fucking be done.
I felt so good. We one time Rafael Palma, he works as the godfather of Swole here in Sacramento.
Yeah,
and,
I know
big bodybuilder guy. And he showed up to Manticore one time, and he's jacked, he's just completely ripped. And he comes in and I'm like, oh, great. And then he does those blow up drills and he nearly yaks, you know what I mean? And it's a different animal, you know what I mean? And you got to keep up with it, because if you're not doing it every day, like you lose it quick.
There's not a lot of like gym cardio that like can compare to like ring cardio. I would say like flipping tires is probably close, but then like where you got to take a bump in there somewhere too.
Yeah, flip 3 tires and then take a bump.
Right.
Flip 3 tires, take a bump.
Right, man. So what's next for the Stoner Brothers?
We're trying to just wrestle and have fun, good matches. I just want to have good matches with people. There's a lot of tag teams out there that we haven't wrestled that are supposedly really good, that we'd like to wrestle, that should want to wrestle us because we're really good. Toot toot.
Yeah, man, we just like doing things that are fun for us these days, man, and like tagging with Anton, doing 6-mans and stuff like that is fun these days, because like we're innovative. We get to come up with cool maneuvers and show off our talents.
Yeah, we just had a really good match at Puppet Wars in San Ramon on Saturday against the Conglomerate. It was Midas, Creed, Alpha Zoe, and D Rogue.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was fun. It was good.
That was what I was going to ask you. You said there's some tag teams out there that you want to wrestle. Who is it that you haven't been able to wrestle yet?
Yeah, who is it?
I don't know. Who thinks they're good?
Who thinks they're good? Okay, I'm not sure.
Like
we want to test people's tag team.
Jordan Oliver, and Nick Wayne. They think they're good.
That's a team.
Yeah, they're a team, right?
Okay.
Yeah. A lot of these makeshift indie tag teams that are having like a 6-month, 1 year good run as a tag team. Like, okay, you think you're a good tag team? Step it up.
Did you guys ever get a chance? I'm sure you have, to work Alpha Zoe and DJ Fresh, the Two Fresh.
Yeah, we've worked them a bunch.
Yeah, I think they're one of those tag teams that are real good. I mean, what do you guys think about them?
No, they're great. They have the charisma, it factor. So like, even if they go out there and just do their entrance, they don't even have to wrestle.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of teams are worried about what they're gonna do, like in the ring, move wise, and these guys are more more worried about entertaining people.
Right.
Which,
that's our job. That's what we're there for,
Yeah. Sure, right. Do cool moves too, but like Do a cool move, entertain someone. Do a cool move, entertain someone.
Yeah, the worst thing in like going to a show and being against a random tag team, the thing we hate the most is like we ask them, "What do you guys do?" And then half the time it's nothing. We do a clothesline. We do a body
We
slam.
do punches and kicks.
It's just like, what? That's what you're bringing to the
Yeah,
table.
what are we
man?
supposed to do with that? We're just gonna make you look like shit now. Sorry.
Who would you say is the best, kind of like your best foes, your best tag team you would wrestle?
I mean, anytime we get to wrestle Sheik and Anton as the caution is always good. Chupi, Hayashi, anytime we get in there with those guys, it's really good. We just turned heel at a Hoodslam and formed the group with James C., Mike Rain. So we're going to do some 6-mans with us and Mike coming up. It's going to be really fun.
Nice. What about the Scum? You guys kind of all came up at the same time.
Yeah, we've had some awesome matches with them. Yeah, they don't wrestle too much anymore, right?
No, Luster goes out and he wrestles now and then. He'll come out.
Yeah, we see Luster at a few shows here and there.
Yeah, but Adam doesn't really get out much. I just just
they both got families and kids now too, so
yeah,
understandable.
Yeah, I remember you guys having a real fun one in Tahoe. It was like that signing they had where they had like 1,000 people signed out there, and then you guys ended up working the Scum. They had like Harrah's or something like that, and just went all over the building, just beating each other up, and just a lot of fun.
Yeah,
so
we've had fun ones with them,
definitely.
Yeah.
So let me ask you. We're winding down, and I ask some questions of people every time, and I want to ask you these questions. What would you say is your biggest success in life?
Biggest success?
Yeah.
Probably for me. I would say just starting our school and creating great local wrestling talent, and getting Manny and Shotzi up there to the WWE. That's definitely probably my biggest accomplishment.
Or like being part of a revolution kind of that put fucking NorCal back on the map, where they get fucking fans at wrestling shows. Like between, I feel like Hoodslam is so much a huge part of that. And
yeah, because like everything, there was always like 50 cap fucking crowds, and
I mean you would get a good crowd, but like it wouldn't be more than like 400 people.
Right. No, you're right. And that was the thing, right? Like when I came out, there were guys who were getting mad at me, who had been doing it for a long time because I could draw 300 or even 400, right? Like that was a huge show.
Yeah, that was big back then for sure.
Yeah, and so you get 300 people at a show, people start talking, and then the other mainstays, won't name any names, but they were mad because they couldn't draw 100. But now Hoodslam, I mean, you can't really. I kind of got out of regular shows before Hoodslam became really huge. Like you guys were getting big, and people were kind of talking trash about it. But like I kind of stopped running shows. But I remember coming to a show that had 1,000 people there, and now you can't. I mean, it seems like 100 is a light show for most places. And there's always a few people who have a Hoodslam shirt or a Stoner Brothers shirt or a Caution shirt or who knows you guys from Hoodslam. You know what I mean? And a rising tide raises all ships.
Yeah, it's really tight to be part of like the crew that brought this area back to life. Because, dude, for like. Nugs would tell us stories, and for our first like 10 years of doing shows, we wouldn't do shows that had more than like 100 people. If we got a show with like 200 people, that'd be fucking. That would be such a huge thing to all of us. Like
Right.
everybody though, really like. Nobody had big crowds.
Right. And
So
now, like you said, I mean, you can expect 200 or 300 on an average day. You know,
mhm.
at some, there's still those guys out there that are only going to draw 50 people. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But most of the time, I mean, SPW just ran their anniversary show, and it looked huge. I mean, I don't know how many people were there, but it was definitely bigger,
Yeah.
than what they used to do. And I do think that Hoodslam has something to do with that. You know, and also the just kind of there's also, I think, a kind of been a revolution in just indie wrestling in general
Yeah.
now, where
But just like uh I feel like Hood Slam made wrestling fun again, as opposed to just being, boring guy in black tights versus guy in blue tights. Nothing against those, the guys in black and blue tights, but like, uh, we the fuck the fans thing is like that's just to let people know like you're in on this with us. Like, let's go for the ride. And I
right,
feel like every Hood Slam we get like maybe 25% of our crowd is people that know and watch wrestling, and the other is just people that want to have fun.
right,
And that's trickled out to other indie shows too. It's like there's a lot of non wrestling fans going to wrestling shows because they've
right,
heard about it from
right.
somewhere.
I used to tell when I was selling fair shows, um, I would go to the fair, and the selling point would be you could, yeah, you can set up a stage and people will walk by, but if you set up a wrestling ring, people stop and wonder what's going on, you
Mhm.
know? And I think the Hood Slam is kind of like that. It's a party with a wrestling ring in it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And there's wrestling going on. And you're right, it has turned people into wrestling fans that are following you guys. Like, you guys are bona fide stars, in the area. And so um, is Hood Slam gonna still? I mean, I know we're doing the show. I don't know if you are or you have done one in Reno recently. And
Just
then
last week, yeah.
yeah, how did that one do?
I mean, there wasn't hell of people there, but it was okay. It could have been a lot better. But I mean, for our first show back in Reno, I feel like the Reno, Vegas cities are fucking hard, man, because there's
Yeah,
just so much entertainment in those cities already.
Reno is a tough one, man. Like I did a tour with the Lucha Libre USA used my ring for like a 5 show run, and it went from Reno to Stockton to San Jose to a couple other places. And by and large, Reno was the smallest show.
Oh yeah,
Of
yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's just nobody there.
Yeah, and
WWE
it's hard.
on
It's
time.
hard to get to from other places. Also, you got to go up that mountain and around it.
Yeah, it's like we have a following, but like our fans don't want to travel 3 hours to go fucking watch it.
Right,
Some will,
Some
but
will, but yeah,
right, yeah.
and it's
Well,
hard to promote those places you don't live in either.
right, right. So, okay, the next question I have is, what would you say is your biggest failure, and what did you learn from it?
Hmm.
failure. Uh, my biggest failure is trusting green wrestlers too much,
Mm,
and it's probably my fault for like just I don't know being too giving
Expecting they know, but they
and
don't.
expecting that they're good because they're in a match scenario already.
mm,
Because I tore both my biceps like 2 years apart from each other, and it was both from just trusting green people, and
mm,
I shouldn't have. So yeah, I learned I learned my lesson. That was my biggest fail in wrestling.
mm. On that topic, let me ask you, because I mean, yeah, I wrestled for about a year when I was 18, but I wasn't fully trained, and I probably shouldn't have been out there. I was just out there because I was a big guy, and when you're big, you don't have to do much.
Yeah.
You throw people around. But as a green wrestler, like, what is some advice you would give someone who's green and trying to make it in the business?
Ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to say no. That's a big one for
Also,
sure.
be a sponge, man. Sit there and just listen. People talk too much these days.
Yeah, there's a lot of new up and comers that are just like chatty Cathys, love to talk about themselves or uh, their work or
I myself will just sit in a circle of like wrestlers and I'll just listen to everybody. And in my head, I'm like, oh my god, these guys talk way too much. What the fuck is going on? And then I don't know, but just be a sponge and like learn off the learning tree, as many learning trees as possible.
Yeah.
Like never stop learning. We still learn all the time when we're teaching kids stuff.
Mhm.
and don't be like it's okay to be a self mark, but like don't be a self mark in front of people. Just
Right.
because like I don't know.
rub
Me and
somebody
Derek
the wrong way.
rarely talk about ourselves to even our students. So it's like as we're talking about ourselves on a podcast, but like it's being humble, just having a good attitude, man. Being humble.
I got to say, if I'm going to put someone over, I did a show recently. I did one of Derevko's ACW shows, and he's drawn pretty well here in Sacramento. I mean, he's filling that building. It's a small building, but he's filling it every time. But this last show he had, Doc Atrocity was there, and I've had limited interactions with Doc. We had some interactions on Facebook a long while ago, and I don't think he really, he's highly opinionated, and so am I. So, and we don't agree on a lot. So I don't think we were, on the best of terms. But man, like, it was like probably my third match, and I'm working Flacco, who's been around forever,
Yeah.
and Johnny Butabi pulls Doc aside, and he was such a wealth of knowledge, you know what I mean, and just was like, let me tell you some things and give you some pointers. And they really helped, like just with my entrance and things like that and how I should carry myself as I was walking out. And he was so giving. And so what you're saying is really ringing true for me, because I'm kind of like that. Like I go in there and I just have so much respect for all you guys. I'm sitting here and I'm like, what am I going to add as a 42-year-old guy with 3 matches? You know what I mean? I'm just going to do what anybody asks and do what they want. But it was just so cool to think that Doc, who doesn't really have any, I don't know, he doesn't have any reason to give me anything, was so willing to give me knowledge, and help me. And I just think that's so cool when guys who've been around for a long time are willing to do that. And Flacco too. I mean, Flacco basically put a whole match together for us that worked out really well and was just so giving, considering. And so but yeah, so as far as other than that, anything else you would say to a green guy that he should learn from from the wrestling people from before him?
Don't be afraid to ask for critiques, and then also like take your critiques with pride. Don't be a little bitch about it, because everyone is gonna fucking try to tear you apart when you first start. And if you got like, if you don't have thick skin, it's really gonna hurt your fucking feelings. But like,
sometimes you need to hear that.
Yeah.
Well, that's how you get better, though, right? I mean, you get better by learning. I sometimes tell my kids, like when they play basketball or whatever, I go, okay, so do you want me to give you the dad answer, or do you want me to tell you what really happened? You know what I mean? And I was like, I could sit here and tell you all the good things you did good. That's not going to help you. Let me tell you what you did wrong so you can correct it better,
Yep.
So, and then finally, the last question I ask everybody is, someday, we hope it's really far down the road, but someday, you're going to pass away and there's going to be a funeral and there's going to be a eulogy. What would you want the one thing to be that someone says at your eulogy about you?
Just how caring and giving we are.
Yeah. What do you think, Dustin?
Yeah, just that it'd be. Yeah, I would just want to be acknowledged for how much we put into this. Just because I don't know, like we started when we were kids, and now we're fucking, you know, total adults now that we're 40. So um, we've put a lot of years into this, man, and we 4 or 5 days a week do it still, and just give back all the time because we love it. And I don't know, I love wrestling, so I can't see. Yep.
Also, don't judge a book by its cover. Like, we look mean and intimidating, but we're the nicest guys in the world.
Mhm.
Yeah, just because we smoke pot doesn't mean we're not cool. I'm cool.
No, that's the thing that there's a few people like when I was doing SWF, I pretty much ran the same crew every time because they were guys I knew, one, they were entertaining, I could trust, and I liked. You know what I mean? And you guys were like that. I always appreciated I appreciated the fact that you guys were always so honest. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And uh, even if it wasn't necessarily something I wanted to hear or liked to hear, you guys were so honest about it, and then also would tell me things that would help me improve my product. You know what I mean? And that was actually I was really appreciative of that. In fact, it was really funny. I don't know if you'd like me telling the story, but but I remember there was I don't I take back that I had you on every show. I think I booked you on a show, and once I booked you on the show, um, I uh, I booked you every show after that. But I did one show at the Colonial Theater, and I had the Scum on the show, and I remember, they weren't being like Luster and I had a hard relationship until that Impact stuff. And then he was we really kind of bonded and we became friends. Like, I consider him a friend now, but we had a rough go at the beginning. And I remember him and Adam came in and they worked a show, and they didn't like their payouts or whatever. And it was the payouts we'd agreed to. So I was, they were doing stuff like, we want our own locker room and we want all this stuff. And I'm like, guys, you're not Hulk Hogan. You know what I mean? Like, that kind of thing. And so I remember him saying, uh, they wanted some obscene amount of money, like obscene amount of money. And my question to them was, because I had booked you since then, and I felt like not only did I get the same amount of entertainment from you guys, I got a little bit more, and you were you were less of a headache. You know what I mean? Like, you guys you came in, you did what you wanted, you said what you wanted. I gave you what you wanted. You were happy. When's the next booking? Like, it was a pleasant experience. And I
Yeah.
remember telling him, I was like, guys, like, I don't understand this. Like, why would I do that? You know, I could tell me why I should pay you that, like, pay you like that when I can get the same match, like, with the less headache out of the Commandos. And boy, did he not like that. And I just remember saying to him, I'd be like, they are more entertaining. They are just as good as wrestlers, and they don't give me the headaches you gave me. And he hung up the phone on me. But that's the truth, right? Is that, like, you guys were so much easier to work with, and I'm telling you right now, anytime I'd run a show, you're on the show, and I'd pay you well because you guys would always show loyalty to me, and I really appreciated that.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, that that must have been a time where like we didn't like each other, us and the Scum. There was a time, and I think it started over like I don't know, professional jealousy at first, and then like they faped Coach Nugs hard one day, and then we really like didn't like that at all. Like, what did Nugs do to you? Type of
Mhm.
shit. Like, that's our trainer, and
Mhm.
then we eventually squashed it when we got booked against each other and had to work, and it's fine. We're cool now.
Well, and that was the thing, right? I really think what rubbed him the wrong way was that I mean, at that time, you guys were legitimately the two best tag teams by a long shot in the area, right? It was you and the Scum, and I can't think of another tag team that was on your guys' level.
Yeah.
You know, and I would say that even now, right? Like even now, 22 years later, you are on a different level than most tag teams. You know what I mean? And so I got a lot of
hope so. I would hope so after 20.
yeah, but it's not. You know what I've learned also, like just even it translates into wrestling, but it also I'm a lawyer, right? And it's not about look. There are a lot of crap lawyers out there who've been doing it for 30, 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
They're not good at it. Just because they've been around a long time doesn't mean they're good. You guys have been doing it at a higher level for a long time. You know what I mean? And I just have a lot of respect for that. And I have a respect for the fact that you guys are not. You guys are. You're doing what you love. Like I think it's a if you what you're telling me is true about that WWE tryout, I have so much respect for the fact that you guys decided, you know what, that's not what we want. We want to do this, and we don't care about the money or the fame or any of that. This is what we want to do. I got respect for that. You know? So well, it's been a pleasure. I'm really glad you guys have been on. I've been wanting to have you on. It's been good. I love these podcasts because I get to know a little bit more about guys I've known. Like this is the most in-depth conversation I've ever had with you, and I've known you guys for 15 years.
Yeah, right. It's good.
And so anyhow, where's the next place that somebody can see you?
Well, it should have been Saturday for the Track 7 VF3 show, but that got postponed. So the next place you're going to see us is Hoodslam in Oakland on the 5th. And that is going to be
It's an outdoor show.
It's an outdoor show. So it'll be
plenty of seats.
Plenty of
no seats.
Plenty of standing room.
Yeah. All right, where is that at?
They usually do it on like Third and Broadway, I think is what it is. I'm not totally sure, but you can go to birdswillfall.com, the Hoodslam website, or you could just look up Hoodslam on any social media and see the flyer for the next show.
And is that going to be a Cinco de Mayo themed show?
I
don't think so.
No.
No. No, we usually do those too. We do Drinko de Mayo?
Yeah,
a couple of those.
Yeah, we have.
Nice.
But
we're doing a lot of group stuff now at Hoodslam because we just had
these characters from a different dimension came and killed like 4 Hoodslammers, and so now we're all like
we're at war.
So we're trying to find our people to trust and squad up with, so we could
take these fuckers out,
battle the world.
Oh, well, that sounds serious. It sounds like someone should check that out. So
yeah.
Well, good. Well, Dustin, Derek, it's been a pleasure. Check out the Stoner Brothers on social media. Hang out to if you've made it this far into the podcast, the Edlow podcast, subscribe to YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Appreciate you guys coming on, and we still got a lot of stuff coming up. So keep following. Lots of different topics, lots of different things. I'm sure we'll have other Hoodslammers on eventually as well. So thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate you coming on.
Buddy.
Cool, man. Take it easy. Thanks for having us. If you ever bring, podcast with Willie Nelson, we want to do a call-in.
Got it. We'll make that happen. All right. We'll see you.
Thanks, bud.